Joy in my soul. UpChurch is singing today. I could not be more excited about this, and I saw her rehearsing, and it was amazing. It was so good. And we have a brand new song by Dr. Judy that you are going to hear premiere today, and it sounds like it was written for Pat to sing. It was so good, so good. Okay, so our theme for January is the art of abundance, creating a life worth living. So if you haven't been here throughout the month, you've got to come. The gloves are off, friend. All right. Yes, I love it. Okay, so we got some special needs for Dotson Chapel.
Well, actually, can you hear me from up here?
Yep.
How about if I stand up?
Yep.
Yes, keep coming with the Dotson Chapel, the food pantry. We can always use the food with, your canned meats and things of that sort. They're always in need for that. But I want to change kind of a little path here and go down another one. And that's where, we are the Sacred Community Action Ministry. And you are a part of that so greatly. And so we have something new. Since, you know how we collect things for the pantry, and we collect things for Pennington, and we collect things for shoes, for Souls for Souls, and we collect things for Old Friends, Senior Dog Sanctuary? Okay, well, we're collecting things for Unity of Music City. Because of all the ministries there are, we are a family. So, I had a friend that told me one time, she said, Sherry, charity begins at home. And this is our home. So, we're going to start collecting things every month that's a little different. And something that's going to be really, does anybody go to the Namaste Cafe and partake of all the goodies? Okay. How many of you use the facilities here? For paper towels, you wash your hands, I hope. And what we're doing for the next 2 weeks, at least the next 2 weeks, is we're collecting bath tissue. So, when you go to the store and you buy for yourself, buy a pack of bath tissue and bring it to the church. Drop it off, and guess what? You'll use it. Okay? So that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing we're going to be doing over time, because those are the things that we use and we use up, and then we need more. So, help us out. Help yourself out. We're a family, so let's take care of ourselves. How's that? Thank you.
And with that bath tissue, don't get any of that John Wayne stuff. Rough, tough, and don't take no crap off of nobody. Thank you so much, Sherry. You can buy John Wayne. That's okay. We'll accept it. It's fine. The Duke is all right. Okay, so for February 2nd, there will be a celebration of life service for Sherman Rudy Packer, and that is Jackie Scully's father. So if you cannot make it to that, please hold their family in your hearts. Send them all the love and healing. because I know that they will appreciate it from their family here at Unity. So that is at 1:30 on February 2nd. And now today is the gift of change. I hope I heard all y'all jingling while you were dancing, because we are doing gift of change today. If you've brought any of your change, or your purse is a little bit too heavy, or your jacket's jingling, drop it here, because every penny counts, and so does John Wayne's toilet paper. So please, please, please donate to the gift of change today. So before we go on to some more announcements, I think I want to sing again. How about y'all? You want to sing? All right, come on. Get on up. Wednesdays. They meet at 11:30 for a book discussion and a BYO lunch. Our new book will be The Art of Abundance, 10 Rules for a Prosperous Life by Dennis Merritt Jones. And Becky Asarita, can I bring you up here to speak and light our beautiful candle? You want my microphone right here? Here you go. Can you go up?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So, several people there's been a few rumors about where we're going and what we're still about. And so, we thought it'd be a wonderful way to start off each Sunday morning with repeating our vision and our mission statement. So if you can repeat with me. To remember the universal presence alive in each of us. And then our vision. We create experiences for expanding consciousness and awakening infinite possibilities. Thank you, Becky. Bea, would you lead us in the sacred reading, please?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, beautiful people. Behind every thought, deed, and action of every human being of rational mind on this planet is the desire for freedom, inner peace, and a life worth living. A life filled with purpose and meaning. A life of fulfillment and wholeness. And so we affirm together, expressing oneness creates a life of infinite possibilities. Together, expressing oneness creates a life of infinite possibilities. What I seek is truly quite basic. A life of wholeness, a life of peaceful satisfaction. The irony is that such a world already exists for those who have eyes to see it. My mission, if I choose to accept it, is to share this message with everyone I meet. The more I share the message, the more my personal vision becomes clear. Then I am able to step into the life I dream of creating for myself. In other words, I don't have to do anything to earn an abundant life. And I do have to align myself with the energy of abundant living. That process begins when I become one with life. I do that by enhancing my vision and adopting the view that nothing exists that is not part of me. No one exists who is not part of me. Any judgment I make is self-judgment, and any criticism I share is self-criticism. When I am able to align with those four statements, I have just begun to live and to breathe and have my very beingness for the very first time. At that very same moment, I will wisely begin to offer to myself and others an unconditional love that will be the light of the world. And from Luke 10:27, you shall love God, the universal law, with all your heart and all your mind and all your soul and all your strength. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself.
So everybody take a deep breath and release it. And then release again, just release. And just begin by scanning your body. From the top of your head to the tips of your toes. How is my body this morning? So if there's any part of my body that needs a little extra attention in this now moment, I send my breath to it now. My breath is the very breath of God. The healing energy that is alive within me. It's one of the first ways that I experience oneness. Because when I was born, I breathed in the breath of life. And I became a living soul. In that very moment,
I understood more than ever oneness. And so in this now moment, I am going back to that very point when I took my first breath and let out a cry and said, Earth, here I am. I'm here to be a part of all that is. I'm here to experience life and abundantly experience life. Because in that moment, I realize as a baby that nothing exists that is not a part of me. That no one exists that is not a part of me. And with baby eyes, I look out into the world every day and see just that. The magnificent abundance that we all live in the middle of. And I don't have to do anything to deserve it. All I have to do is be open to receive it. And to every day, as I breathe, align myself with it again and again. The one presence and the one power. When I am able to align myself with that one presence and one power, it is as if I am born anew in each and every moment. And so I release one more breath. And rest in the silence. In the silence. In the silence, I can feel that there is nothing that exists that is not a part of me. That there is no one that exists that is not a part of me. When I truly align with that energy, I go about my day expressing oneness and creating infinite possibilities for my life. There is one presence and one power.
Just one power.
know, everybody's, not everybody, several of us say, that's my favorite Judy song. You'll hear Deb Moore say it on every one of them. Won't you, Deb?
That's right.
And I can truly tell you this morning that this has been my favorite since it was written. And I ask you to listen to these words. When you get up in the morning before you go to bed at night, when you're walking around, I promise you, this will do you good. Changing. Look all around and you will see the beauty of God is in all creation. God lives in you, and God lives in me. See God in the moon, see God in the sun. You can see God in the face of everyone. See God in the moon, see God in the sun. You can see God in the face of everyone. The love of God is never ending. Open your heart and you will see the love of God is in all creation. God lives in you, and God lives in me. See God in the sun, see God in the moon. You can see God in the face of everyone. See God in the sun, see God in the moon. You can see God in the face of everyone. See God in the moon, see God in the sun. You can see God in the face of everyone.
So before we start our lesson today, I want you to share with someone beside you where you have seen God this week. This week, where you've seen God this week. So when you're able to begin to have these kind of conversations with people, as Bee read in the sacred reading this morning, the more I share this, the more my mind opens. That's one of the reasons I've always enjoyed being a teacher. Because the more I teach something, the more I get it. And the more I say it again and again, the more I get it. It's a gift to me. You all just come along for the ride. You're welcome. But I enjoy that. I'm sure Deb can tell you the same. The more she teaches something at Volunteer State, the more it becomes part of her beingness. The more you talk about this art of abundance, the more you will live it. And the reason you need to talk about it is you need to talk about it with the people you live with, but you need to talk about it with other people. Do you realize how many millions of people live out in the world that don't get it at all? So find somebody every day, every other day, every week, and share it with them. Have you seen the abundance of whatever it might be? And just begin that conversation, because what you're doing is preparing your heart. One of the books in the Bible that I think is probably non-threatening is Proverbs. Because all it is little gentle reminders for us on how to live. Now for John Ricks, I'm going to read it first from the King James. He knows why, because he likes that. My son, do not forget the teachings. Keep the commandments in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck and write them on the tablet of your heart. Wow. The writer is saying this is important stuff. You need to carry it with you everywhere you go. Well, then, of course, I have to read my translation because mine is the Message. That's my favorite one. And it's a little bit more in your face. Mortals make elaborate plans. But God, or the law, has the last word. Humans are satisfied with whatever looks good. Uh-oh. They've been talking to my mama. God, or the law, probes for what is good. Put God, or the law, in charge of your life. Then what you've planned will take place. Can you hear that? Put universal laws in charge of your life, and then what you think you've planned is going to take place. Talk to the person beside you about what you just heard. Because we all probably heard something different right there. Doug is in the house, Dave. He's ripping up the sound system. So, it that we all want? What we want. How do we create it? You're learning it right now. How do you express the divine every day, all day long in your human form? There's the deal. Some of us express our rear ends more than the divine. At times. Right? Show our rear ends. More than the divine, even though that could be divine too. As I was sharing with Becky this morning, sometimes that has to happen for people to get it. Everybody breathe. So B ended her reading with this scripture. Where you see God or Lord, it's about the law or universal principle. It's not about a being out there. So we are supposed to love the universal laws with all our heart and all our soul and all our mind and all our strength. What if I loved living universal laws that much? Yes. How would my life change? If I believed in them that much. We're only dealing with one in this whole month. Live in oneness. That's it. That one's the hardest one. Yes. If you can get that one, the rest of them kind of flow, because we all look out there at times and see things that we don't like, and we push it away. Because we say, I ain't one with that. I ain't one with that person, or that thing, right? The second part of this I have preached on, and I don't say I preach too much, but I have for 20 years. Love your neighbor as you love who? Yourself. And excuse me, I see one young person in here, but what I always add to that is most of our neighbors are shit out of luck. Because we don't love ourselves enough to love them. So talk to your neighbor about what you just heard.
All right, neighbor.
So I can see that that's brought up a lot of conversation. Because even though some of you have been around here for the whole 20 years that I've been standing up here talking, some of us still don't get it. And that if there's somebody or something out here that I don't love, I got to start here. every time. We think we have to start out there with that. Now, the universal principle, the one that we don't like to see, is if we spot it, it's in us. Dear God. Right? I don't want to look at that, so I'd rather be mad at this person out here or this thing out here than to look and go, where is that in me? I see some of you looking at me like I have 4 heads and 3 tails, and that I'm going to be eat up by something in just a moment, you hope. But as I said, for the next 5 months or so, you're going to get the real me. Whether you like it or not, you're going to get it. Okay? This is what Judy hears every day, all day long. That's why she chose us to go outside in the yard with the dogs. Because I'll say, well, where is that in you? Doesn't really go over really well. She does say it back to me sometimes too, so that's okay. Yeah. We are doing this whole thing of resetting our breath, rebooting our very beingness, and recalibrating our beliefs. This is not the easiest journey. Because we don't even understand the art of abundance, really. We think we do. We think it's about money and things. It has nothing to do with that at all. But if you align yourself with the art of abundance, the universal principles, all of that other stuff will be added unto you. Jesus said that. Gotcha? So I'm going to read these one at a time that be read, and I just want you to pay attention to where the flinches happen inside of you. Nothing exists that is not a part of me. Just pay attention. No one exists who is not a part of me. Any judgment I make is self-judgment. Ugh. Any criticism I share is self-criticism. Now continue our conversation. Be careful what you say. Go. So we really weren't taught to live that way. Unless you were raised as a New Thought baby. Most of us in here were not. We were taught to judge and criticize. In fact, I've said many times that every Sunday at the dinner table at the Jurgen house, everything that happened in the worship service was criticized and nicked it. Who wore what and who shouldn't have. Who sung what and who shouldn't have. Did you see her hair? Who does she think she is? Just on and on and on. Deb Moore and I've had that conversation because she grew up in the same kind of house. What is that about for us as human beings? Do we not have anything else better to talk about? Think about that. Why is it? And I know it happens here too. People go out to eat with each other because I hear it from people. Did you believe that they said blah, blah, blah? Can you believe that person got up on the stage and sang that song? It's like, how interesting. Do we not have anything better to talk about than what we're criticizing and judging? Because if I really believed that any judgment that I was giving was judgment about me, because it really is, who cares what you think? Have you thought about that?
Right.
I woke up to that several years ago, and who cares what I think? Why do I even care about what I think? And what difference did it make?
Right. Exactly.
If somebody got up here and sang a song that I didn't like, what difference does it make? In the scheme of life. Really? Have you thought about that? Have we all thought about that? And that when I criticize somebody, it's saying more about me than it's saying about them.
Yes.
Because if I don't like something, you know what? 45 other people will. Have you figured that out too?
Yeah.
It's like, okay. So, just think about which one of those is the hardest for you. Is it harder to know that there's nothing out there that's not a part of me? Or is it more personal that there are people out there, and surely not. Right? Or am I being judgmental about somebody when I know that I'm being really judgmental about myself? Or am I criticizing somebody when I really know that I'm criticizing myself? So everybody just exhale for a minute. Here's a remembrance of where we've been this month. The first universal principle is about being one with all of life. It doesn't say just the parts that you like. Right? If you read what used to be Denise's Daring Daydreams, but is now Smoke Signals from Sarah Gorda.
Oh, that's it.
You read that this last week was wonderful for me, and that I had to get up every morning and be on the road by about 5:15 or 5:30, drive in the dark to Murfreesboro. Some days drive in the dark in the rain to Murfreesboro, to babysit my granddaughter, and about 12 or 13 hours later, then I drove home. It was a lot.
Yeah.
She was a delight. But I want to tell you, this little woman here does not like to be one with driving in the dark in the rain. Don't like it. I thought about you a lot, Pat, because a lot of times I see your posts and you have the sun coming up. I could see the sun coming up right about the time I got to Austin, Mary Beth's house. It's like, how do I become one with things that I didn't really want to do or be?
Great question.
Oh. Because that's the only way I'm going to live abundantly, is to be one with it all. Know that I was reminded of something that I talk about a lot up here on the stage, Ho'oponopono, and I know Deb's going to be out of town some in February, but I'm going to get her to come and explain Ho'oponopono to you all, because that's the magic button. It is. If you don't know anything about it, look it up. It's a Hawaiian word, but it's about oneness. But the premise we've been working on, and some of you are like, we've been talking about this all month. Yes, and we could talk about it for the rest of our lives and still have room to expand.
Yes.
When I become one with life, I see abundance everywhere I look. Now remember, abundance means a lot of something. And I shared with you last week, we have 5 dogs. We have an abundance of poop in our backyard. It just is. Well, we have an abundance. There's an abundance of lots of stuff out there. The problem is I believe in separation and lack. So there are things that I want abundance in that I don't see in my life because I believe they're separate from me. And until I love them and wrap myself around them, they're not going to be a part of me. We talked last week about money, and a lot of you thought people were like, I have risen above the need for money. Well, then you better go on. Because as long as you're living in these human bodies, you're going to need some money right now unless we start giving chickens and eggs for payment for things. I don't know that your gas company, your electric company is going to want that. The principle is the belief in one presence and one power leads me to align with an abundant universe. So when I'm feeling separate from somebody or something, it would behoove me to reset my breath. I've taught that for 2 years. To breathe out and go. If you're with me in Walmart, you see me blowing a lot. They don't know what's wrong with me. And I blow a lot in Walmart. Because I go, whoo. And if you blow enough, you'll find that place of oneness. Even with the most bizarre human being that you've ever seen. I promise you. The practice is to be mindful, be in the moment. That's why we blow. Because your breath reminds you, oh yeah, I'm here right now. Because I was off on a tangent about all the wrong things that I see in this person right here, right now. Does that make sense? Instead of being in the present moment. I've already judged and condemned this person to hell. That's Doug Beal in the sound system. I don't know what he's doing this morning, but good morning, Doug. And the payoff for all of us is that we begin to recognize abundance. Everywhere we look. David Wright's going to turn you off. Now I'm going to read this because I know you cannot. Because this amazing light left our planet about a month ago. And he's probably one of the first ones that talked about being in the present moment and why it's important. So I just want you to hear this. Now in our culture, we have been trained for individual differences to stand out. So you look at each person and the immediate thought is brighter, dumber, older, younger, richer, poorer. And we make all these dimensional distinctions, put them in categories, and treat them that way. Can you see that we do that?
Yes.
And we get so that we only see others as separate from ourselves in the ways in which they are separate. And one of the dramatic characteristics of experience of being with another person and suddenly seeing the ways in which they are like you, not different from you, and experiencing the fact that which is essence in you, which is essence in me, indeed one, the understanding that there is no other, it is all one. I know that's a lot, but I want you to continue your conversation now about what you just heard. This is what he taught on the planet for years.
signal strength. Nothing like it. There's a beat with it, but it's not the whole like sure it does anything. Rust on it. Nothing like
So I want you to push the pause button because you're going to finish in just a moment. One of his most popular books is called Be Here Now.
Yes.
Most of you probably have read it or heard about it or seen it or something. And a quote from that book is, "Except you be converted and become as little children, you shall not enter the kingdom of heaven." We've heard that. Unless you start again, become that trusting, open, surrendered being, the energy can't come in that is the kingdom of heaven. Trusting, open, surrendered being. The energy is the same thing as cosmic consciousness. Well, I spent the whole week with that being. And so I want you to have a conversation with somebody beside you is when have you been able to look like a child would look out into the world and see it for the first time again. Continue your conversation.
Yeah, well, you can see the host.
I don't know, I guess hanging out.
Yeah, that's just weird. That noise.
Yeah. So, you know, trying to see things. When to start doing art adventures, art no, we were just taking to carry.
So what I want to share with you is when I'm not able to look at the world like Harper May does now, I need to reset, reboot, and recalibrate. Which means time in silence. But Thich Nhat Hanh says that we think that when we are not doing anything, we are wasting our time. So some of us need to be spending 8 or 10 hours a day in the silence until we get it. Seriously. Because if I am plagued by being separate from somebody, I need to spend more time in silence. When I think universal principles aren't working for me, I need to spend more time in silence. That's always the answer. Because the answers are where? And I have to get quiet to pay attention to the answers. But in our society, if you spend time sitting in the silence doing nothing, uh-oh. I gotta be doing something. I need to be creating a spreadsheet or some sort of a plan. Right? Right? Ask her about Saturday when I got home from having the week that I had had, and I said, we're going to be still and sit with each other on Saturday. And every once in a while she would, and I would like, only if you have to pee. But just think about yourself. Can you be still? Can you sit in the silence? Do you enjoy it? Some of you are like, I can't meditate because you don't try enough. And I'm being honest. Be still. Probably the first thing you're going to have to deal with for the first year is your physical body. Because it's going to itch, you're going to snort and cough and fart and do all kinds of stuff trying to get still. You're going to rearrange yourself in your seat 400 times. And you're going to go, I can't do this.
I was supposed to bypass that after the first year.
It's like that's the first layer of getting through this human thing. Because your body is going to go, no, we're supposed to be doing something, fool. Why are you sitting here? And your mind is racing with 45 things that you know you need to get done.
Yes.
Right? I'm very glad that Becky said what she said this morning, because most of you that are in leadership have known that I have pulled myself out of the leadership of this church. I'm coming to speak and hold the space for Sunday morning, but every once in a while I see stuff. And that people are wanting things to happen right now. I want to know the answer today. Have you ever tried to find the answer that quickly in your own life and made a big, huge, hairy dog mess?
Oh, yes.
And that was just about you, not about a whole spiritual community. It takes time for change to happen. They may not have all the answers today. Breathe. It's all okay. You don't have all the answers today. You don't. But we do know, until this changes, this is the mission and vision statement of Unity of Music City. It was created 1.5 years, 2 years ago. Now, a vision is where we think we're going. To remember the universal presence alive in each of us. Is that not what we're doing every Sunday morning?
Yes.
Duh. But then we've heard, we don't know what they're doing. Why are they doing what they're doing? This is what we're doing. We're attempting to remember the universal presence alive in everybody so that we make the right and perfect decision for highest and best for everyone. You can't do that if you run off willy-nilly, half-cocked, and go do something funny. Does that make sense? The mission. Somebody read that out loud. Deb Moore, you got a voice that carries. Read it out loud.
We create experiences for expanding consciousness and awakening infinite possibilities.
Is that not what we do here? On Sunday morning, on Wednesday during lunch bunch, on Wednesday night, on any time people come here? Is that not what we're doing? So can I ask a question? Why would somebody say, we don't know what you're doing? You may be the person who's asking that question. Go inside and go, why is that my question? I don't know what they're doing. They're doing this right here. That's what they're doing. That's what we're all doing. Right here, right now. Because, remember, we think that when we are not doing anything, we are wasting our time. You're not wasting your time showing up and sitting in meditation with people and becoming one with a community here. You're not wasting your time. Everybody breathe. It's all okay. It all is perfect, exactly the way it is. So say, I am an expression of the divine.
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 I am an expression.
I am an expression.
I am.
I am.
I. And so I want you to close your eyes for a minute and exhale. And just focus on your breath. Because this busyness of life sometimes reminds us that we need to pull back and be still and focus on our breath. And so just pay attention as you draw breath in, that you are drawing in oxygen. And you're sending that oxygen to every cell in your body for healing. You're sending that oxygen to every organ in your body for healing. It's a gift. You don't have to do anything to accept it. You just have to be open and let that air come in. But then the other side of the gift is that you get to exhale. And you, my friends, are exhaling carbon dioxide for the plants, for this amazing world that we live in. And have you even thought about the gift that you give every day to this planet? As you inhale the gift and you exhale the gift. You are part of the oneness of this amazing universe that we live in. And you are expressing yourself in every moment that you breathe as a divine. And in that way, you begin to prepare your heart. Prepare your heart for what's next. Prepare your heart. And so as we begin to draw our attention back into our physical body, don't forget that when I feel harried and busy, and when I see things that I think are separate from me, it's time to spend time again in the silence, to go to my breath, to remember that I don't have to do or be anything any different to receive this amazing, abundant gift of life and breath. And in the same way, I am gifting it back to the planet. Prepare my heart. And so as you again draw your attention back to your physical body, just move your fingers and your toes. And be here now. And look and listen and feel the urgency of preparing your heart for this moment. And as you open your eyes, be ready. Be ready to see. Be ready to hear. And be ready to feel.
Okay, folks. This is a brand new song. And I mean brand new. The ink's not even hardly dry. And I want to say a little something. Those of us that know Judy's music, this is a little different. It's absolutely a very powerful song. She wrote it one evening, I'm sure, just sitting there jotting things down, you know. And then this came out. It's not about me singing. I want you to listen to the words. Some of the most powerful words that have ever come from Dr. Judy. Prepare my heart. My days are growing older. Prepare my heart for when the world seems colder. Help me do all I can to make a difference and help my fellow man. Prepare my heart. Prepare my heart. Prepare my heart. I know that life is changing. Prepare my heart. Inside a battle raging. Help me shine a light where darkness reigns, bringing hope to those in pain. Prepare my heart. Prepare my heart. Prepare my heart. May I keep it open wide. Prepare my heart and welcome all inside. Prepare my heart for whatever I may face. Finding peace and comfort in unending grace. Prepare my heart. Prepare my heart. Prepare my heart for everything. Be grateful. Prepare my heart, and to my truth be faithful. Let me live a life of love expressed, and my soul will know I've done my best. Prepare my heart. Prepare my heart. Prepare my heart.
Isn't Pat amazing? Thank you very much, Pat. Thank you very much, Dr. G. Hello! These are my kids, y'all. Yeah, it's Lily and Jack. No, do not touch the microphone. That's my kid, right? Y'all please join us in the prayer for abundance. Y'all go sit with Daddy. I live in the midst of infinite abundance. I give freely and fearlessly to life, and life gives back to me. If you would join us in the sacred walk of abundance, right up this way. Don't forget your gift of change. Come up here, and then go down that way. Grab your application. Thank you.
Don't run over people.
our minds. And we bless these tithes and offerings. We know that they have been given from that space of love. And we know that any time we see with our human eyes separation or distance or lack, it's time to reset. It's time to reset our breath. It's time to reboot our beingness and remind ourselves, recalibrating our minds, that we are one with abundance. It's always there. And I remind myself of the breath. As I breathe in, I'm breathing in oxygen that is divine love. And as I breathe out, I'm breathing out carbon dioxide, and I am blessing all the plants and all the grass. It's the act of giving and receiving that is present always and at all times with all things. And so that's my beginning. That's where I start. I am an expression of the divine, and I remember it in every moment. And so it is. Amen.
Would you please join us in the prayer for our protection? The light of God surrounds us. The love